What's up, everyone? The Castle here. Got some interesting news. All right. Um, I've been working very hard on this editor and game, and I've made enough progress now where after tonight, I'll have a version of the editor that can be tested again, and it's capable of a lot of really interesting stuff at this point in time. So it is fully multiplayer, hierarchical instancing, just like I wanted before, and everything like that is pretty much in place. I have a rudimentary day-night cycle, which will also be the same entity that also handles, the weather effects and like general ambient temperature from when the sun is up and like and stuff like that, right? And then there will be other stuff as well, like um, I'll have volumes for different like biome temperatures and stuff like that as well. Now, um, with that said, you're probably going to start seeing some more streaming. The level designing will begin. I need to do a pretty good test on this. I need to see some progress on well, just about everything. Like I'm gonna have to let's see. For an open world survival game to really flourish, I'm going to need some fairly large outdoor environments, right? And I want to try and encompass, multiple biomes. I want to try and have like a swampy area, a grassy plains area. You know what I mean? But with you also have to keep in mind too that since this is also going to have a lot of large, structures that are kind of like these big units that have bridges connecting to them and stuff like that as well. It won't be outside in all places. There's going to be a lot of indoors. There's going to be a lot of this kind of stuff going on as well. So, uh, so you'll be inside of these kinds of structures all the time, but they'll be built into the actual biomes and everything like that. So there'll be a lava area, like one of you'll probably see a structure like this, but it'll be like in a lava area or something as well. Like um, the level editor has one limitation that I'm going to be doing some testing with, but prefabs can't get too large, which means that if you want to have a really big prefab, like this prefab right here, chokes up clients. It works fine in single player though. You can grab this prefab and move it around and do whatever you need in single player. But when it comes time for replication of all these separate objects that are part of this prefab, um, that causes lag. So like actually, let me go to this other one that's over here. All right, let's see if I fly over to it really quickly. And you see how it's just sort of out here. This is just another instance of the same object over there. Now you gotta remember that when you look at this, what you're doing right now is you're looking at the interiors. The actual exteriors are going to be these really crazy like big walls with like side pieces and everything like that. And you'll notice that it's almost time for day as well. But it's nighttime right now. But like and I also want to have like lights that turn on at night. So like a lot of these structures will have lights around the outside, and there'll be target names that the sunlight thingy will actually target for different light entities. If the light has a specific target name, that means that when it becomes nighttime, all of a sudden there'll be a bunch of lights that just sort of turn on or turn off depending on the time of day. So you'll see like a big spotlight that might shut off, during the daytime, and stuff like that. So like at nighttime, you'll be looking up at these big walls, these big structures that are just sort of boom, like this, and like a bridge that goes across all the way to another, and there's like an area up there. I want these like really crazy ass kind of, uneven, like when you look up, I want to see like even areas that you can't get to, but like structures that are like really far up in the air and like held up by beams and pillars and but it's overall it's still going to be a lot of like outdoor open. You'll still be spending a lot of time kind of playing Fallout 4. doing this kind of stuff as well. Because I want people to have places where they can want to build their bases and stuff like that. But so anyway, let me get back to what I was talking about. I keep doing that. Uh, so in single player, this works fine. I can grab this and I could zoom it out really far, and I could figure out, okay, I want to place it like over here. Now you'll notice that it's kind of hard to see sometimes in the editor. Uh, so it makes it a little bit harder to place objects. Now there's one thing, being able to like specify that you want it to be during the day instead of at nighttime. Um, so I was asking about this in the Unreal forums and stuff like that. That having like the oh, it's actually working all of a sudden. Okay, so the F keys are now working for me. Well, okay, all right. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But yeah, you should in the editor in the shipping game, I want to be able to have the editor mode capable of swapping between the different lighting modes and stuff. Let's see. What is this? Shader complexity? Wow, shader complexity, not even that. Hmm. Anyway, but yeah, like you should be able to switch into full bright mode while you're doing this kind of stuff because that's that. Like you see, you also notice that there's a giant. I want the world to be about the size of this crater that is around here. So it's a big ass world. Now, let me grab this building. Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of other stuff. I mean, obviously this is still very much a work in progress, but the thing is that um, it's getting to the point now where it's very usable anyway. As long as you just know what you're doing, you shouldn't really have any trouble working with the editor. That's the thing. All right, so let's zoom this out really far. Actually, rotate it so that I can get a better look over here. And so this kind of a structure, when you see this, if I drag this around when there are clients in it, in the world, they'd actually have to leave and come back again because things would get so jacked up because of limitation with the Unreal 4 engine. Now, the way to get around that limitation is instead of just making this one big prefab, um, is to build this prefab with lots of smaller prefabs. Actually break this up so that there's a prefab here, there's a prefab over there, and everything like that. Once you do that, then it won't be the same problem anymore. It'll be a much simpler object that can be moved around without causing too much lag. So the prefab system has a lot of flexibility. In other words, it's very possible to build very, very, very big stuff right now um, using the system because when somebody has a prefab that they don't recognize, the server will talk to the client and and the client will say I don't have this, and then it'll ask the server for the full file, and then the server will send the file and they'll get a pre-cache, like a cache file. Now the cache file is just basically a pruned down version where it's only the necessary stuff um, in order for it to send a smaller file directly over. Now the cache file is used to make the prefab, so you'll notice like I go into geometry mode and I can't select any of this stuff because this is all optimized components. This is all optimized components that are not really like tied to anything. This is um oh the sun's finally coming up. But it's much more efficient this way, right? So if I had built this with more prefabs, then the limitation could be worked around. Now, under certain circumstances, maybe it doesn't matter. Okay, maybe if you're placing a really, really big object like this, maybe then you just have the server do it, and then the clients have to reconnect or something like that. That's not that big of a deal. There's probably additional workarounds. There's probably additional things that I can do to solve that problem so that it's possible for us to continue working together. Now, when we're actually building like the full out like open world environments with all the different biomes and all that shit, we're gonna have to we're gonna have to like work in in very specific ways. I think they'll have to be like they'll have to be like um, once it gets to a certain point and it's too much for the clients to handle, I can kind of lock down an area and turn the entire world into a prefab. And then from there, we can then continue adding more stuff because the prefab would then be more optimized, right? So, like, when you first join a server, um, even if the prefabs are really big, it doesn't matter. It's just that when you're trying to send it, when you're trying to update the larger objects in real time, that's when things become a hassle. So, this, yeah, this very much allows. I'm gonna have to test to see how crazy this can get. But with that said, I'm also going to begin actually looking at the gameplay stuff. Now, the actual gameplay stuff is open world survival, so that's 7 Days to Die. A lot of inspiration is going to be coming from RL Craft. Um, Maybe whatever the hell Hightail does when that comes out, because I'll still be pretty deep into production of this. But I'm going to be going very much in that direction. All of the weapons, all of the items, all of the everything like are going to be objects that swap to on your toolbar, and the toolbar is going to work more just like a regular standard open world survival game where you can, you know, you have your inventory open and there's just a bunch of, well, I'm not really sure how I want to do it exactly, but I want to. Okay, what do you guys think? Should I have an inventory that's similar to like 7 Days to Die or RL Craft, where you have the icons on a grid and you drag them to where you want them to be? Or should I have something that is more akin to Fallout 4, where it's just a list that's much easier to organize. You don't always spend your time managing all these items. You just end up with lists of items. Um, and you can kind of work that way, and like you can just choose filters and see what you have, and then you have like a numerized weight limit rather than a weight limit based on how many slots you have. Um, I'm not really sure which I prefer more at this point in time, but I do know that I'm definitely going in the direction of, I put my new pistol that I just found in the trash can over here on on my number 2 slot, and then I switch to that, and then pistol comes up. But I can also place a metal block that I can then place. So like my metal block will be I can it'll equip, and then I can actually place the metal block down using this sort of a thing, and then I could be like, okay, hey, look, I'm building a base, guys. I got metal blocks, and then I run out of metal blocks, and then I promptly have to go around and find uh, iron mine nodes or something like that, which spawn in specific areas, and then you know what I mean, like, and then like eventually, you kind of build a little fort, and you get a couple different variations of the types of blocks. Um, when you're in creative mode, where basically you're actually building the actual world, you can build using a much larger variety of different types of objects, like these kinds of things. Like you can place this kind of stuff. But when you're in regular gameplay mode, I'm going to limit you to basically stuff, the types of shapes that you get in Minecraft and RL Craft. You're gonna Minecraft and or RL Craft and 7 Days to Die, and that'll be cubes, stairs, things of that nature, with maybe the occasional prop that you can place that is maybe a little bit more complicated. But like for the most part, I might make it so that you don't have to be bogged down by having a full-blown level editor at your disposal when you just want to make a little base or a cool little house or something like that that you can chill out in in this area over here, in sector 5BA or whatever. So this map's going to have to be really big, and I'm starting to actually begin thinking about the inventory systems, weather, locational damage, like debuffs kind of stuff, items that need to be, looted, broken down. It is actually still a looter shooter, kind of like Revulsion, so there's a lot of aspects of Revulsion that will still be in this. A lot of the combat from Revulsion will be kind of similar. The same way that the guns kick and a lot of that kind of stuff will be the same thing. All the items are going to be developed using the same exact system that I'm using for the prefab system. In other words, you'll get a special like item prefab where you can set all the stats and everything like that in game, and then you save it out as a file, and then you can build a gun. So you can make a prefab volume, right? Like this guy right here. Let's just use a fly zone for here. Change the size of it to 3. Actually, that's good enough right here. So you have this much space to build the gun, right? Like I'll give you a designated amount of room for in which case you can actually build the weapon, and then I'll put a little icon of a weapon in the middle of it, and then you just drag objects inside of this that are gun parts or whatever from the meshes thing. So they'll instead of like city, maybe it'll be like guns or items or whatever, and then you just build the way the item looks, and then you save the file. And just like with the prefab system, um, when you equip that item, you'll actually see it floating on the bottom right side of the screen, and it'll do all the stuff that it's supposed to do. So I'm also thinking that you'll even be able to have access to a more advanced um, details tab when it comes to like items and weapons and stuff like that, where the details tab will pop up and you'll have like all of the options. What kinds of projectiles? What does it do? Like, does it heal you when you use it? Like, does it shoot stuff? Does the projectile explode? Like, it'll just be like a ton of stuff that's all in there that you can input. Hopefully, I'll try and keep it, the list of things optimized and everything like that, and then you can input all of the different values and the all this kind of stuff. And then once you save that out as a file, and then it becomes literally a file in the game that you can then utilize, right? Um, so yeah, did the sun just go down? Oh, it's already nighttime again. So yeah, with that said, there's going to be some level design videos coming up. There's going to be some really good stuff coming up. I'm going to be planning out the open worlds biomes and everything like that. I want to try and stress test this. There's also room for dungeons. There's also room for things like that as well. Um, yeah, this is going to be straight up like 7 Days to Die RL Craft style game. It'll be a little bit more shooter centric because it's a looter shooter as well. Because there'll be a variety of different types of guns and stuff like that, and you'll be doing most of your combat with weapons, those kinds of weapons. I mean, sure you can make swords and shields and stuff like that too, though. I mean, I'm not against the idea of having like a shield, but I actually kind of want to have a lot of items that just do different kinds of stuff. Like some items actually act like abilities and have limited charges. Like, maybe there's like sort of like class specific types of items, like the transhumanist tanky class can access or build its skill level up to be able to utilize an item that places a shield wall in front of you, right? And then you can, and then everybody can get behind that and like use that, right? So like, um, there'll be a tank healer and DPS kind of archetype. I want people running around, being able to just do all their combat almost like Mercy from fucking Overwatch, or a Baptiste or whatever, right? And like, you have less damage capabilities, but you're actually keeping your friends alive and stuff like that. I want that kind of stuff too. So it'll have that kind of a dynamic as well. Now, all right, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end this now. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this so far. Get ready to start seeing some streams very soon. Once the actual level design stuff starts coming into play, yeah, there's going to be a point in time where I'm just going to be streaming it, and it'll be working with people, and the level editor can handle a lot. Even with that one limitation, I'm thinking we're going to get some straight up like big ass open world type stuff going on, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. I want to see I want to see all kinds of. I want to see like several different types of biomes. I want to see areas where there can be structures that players can modify, like structures where the player like that are made out of the same building materials that the player can modify while in the regular game and not just in the level editor. So like you can come up again. There might be like things that sort of like randomly spawn sometimes or something like that where you just take it over, or set areas where like it could be a structure that you normally don't see that just kind of like comes into play, like some kind of like old like bunker that that's like destroyed or something like that, and there's like dead bodies or some shit, just and you just show up and like there's like loot in it or whatever, but it's also made out of the same materials, so you can decide to take that bunker over and like repair it or whatever if you want to. There'll be some structures like that, but then there'll be these bigger structures that are built by the more advanced level design tool. So yeah, all right. I'm gonna actually end it this time. I keep saying I'm gonna end it, and then I just talk for another 5 fucking minutes. I'll go ahead and I'm gonna end this now. So take it easy.